All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Game two of the night, back in our day versus Dive the Fountain. I am, as always, AJ0, joined here with Mr. Thor 74.
How's it going there, Swift?
Fantastic. I am personally getting my hopes up for a slightly more competitive game, the one I just casted. And that could be a lot to hope for, as when these two teams played last week, it was not close.
Yeah, once again, we saw the Evilite try to solo carry the game versus his four teammates trying to drag him to the pits of hell. Gonna be interesting to see how these teams shake up the pick ban from last week, try to come up with a different plan to win.
Yeah, we'll see. Last week, if you guys do not recall, Salvo played top lane, Dario Chopman played Graves in the bot lane as their big swap up. We'll see if they're still doing that this week or they're going to go back to their traditional roles.
Yeah, that swap worked very well for back in our day, putting Dario Chapman down on the Graves with Scotch on Zyra. It gave them a little bit more comfort in that bot lane than I think Scotch and Salvo have been performing with.
Yeah, but maybe Salvo and Scotch feeling a little more confident after seeing how bot lane went last week. Or maybe they're just playing this out and seeing if Jinx gets banned. Maybe that's their strategy. If Jinx is up, Salvo picks it. Otherwise, they put Dario Chopman down there. Won't be the first time we've seen a team act like that, and she's open.
First picked. Have to see.
I think it will be. For what it's worth, Dario Chopman currently does have heal flash. This is very early, but you never know. Maybe that's what they're debating right now. They're like, shoot, we assumed they'd ban Jinx. And I know Salvo, he's screaming for it.
Just give me the Jinx, put me in the bot lane, we'll be fine.
And no, it's going to be first pick overall, not used on any Master Splinters junglers, not used on the Ziggs, not used on the Jinx, not used on any of those fantastic top laners that Dario Chopman has played. It has been used on Scotchnaut's hard int Zyra pick.
Hey, last week he did not do the hard int. Definitely overperformed his prior Zyra gameplay, but we will have to see if DTF has a new plan to take out that Zyra in the bot lane.
Yeah, so we've got absolute last minute Dr. Mundo pick coming through for DTF. Wait.
I don't understand what's going on here. Okay. So that Dr. Mundo pick that we see is actually a Draven pick. Some of the players still don't own all the champions. They're trying not to pull the ban, I assume.
Yes, we got Draven Leona coming out of DTF, so we will have a remake here at the end. This is a lane I'm really excited to see. Draven is maybe getting picked in pro play. I'm not sure. I haven't been following it as closely as I'd like to, but it's
I believe over in EU he's getting picked a lot more. It
works very well in this current meta as well. I'm a big fan of this pick. This is something I wanted to see more baddie bot lanes bust out, which we're finally getting to see. Draven, a classic SBL pick from many years ago that we haven't seen as much the last few.
So I'm going to bring us back over to back in our day. They have picked 3 of the same champions they picked last week.
Yeah, this is a bad draft for Dive the Fountain. They are already set up to lose this game to the same picks they lost to last week. They did ban Master Splitter's Nocturne, so we can't see the total run back comp as... Alright, times are changing. We got Mr. Coffee potentially picking Tryndamere.
If you check Mr. Coffee's match history, he has become a Tryndamere one-trick to climb with.
Yeah, so... I know he's gone through Tryndamere phases in the past, and it is a fairly logical pick into the Shen. You accept the free farm that he's going to give you in lane. So we'll see what happens as this rounds out, as, of course, Evilite drawing more bans here.
Yeah, he's definitely been the best performer for DTF so far this season.
Yeah, and I feel really, really bad for Evelites. He is honestly one of the unluckiest players in the history of the SBL in terms of the quality of teams he has been placed on season after season. And yeah, he's not been perfect. You know, he's not Master Splinter or Thrifty Senpai who's going to drag a team 1v9 when things are going badly. But he has not been as bad as the teams he's routinely been placed on, and he has really been playing his ass off in very difficult situations all season long.
No, he's definitely shown the caliber of play since he won the championship in his first season. It's just that since he won that championship, his price tag was hiked way up for all these other seasons, and he continues to perform in each season, so it rarely goes down.
Yeah, I don't even think he's been a perennial overdraft. He's just had some poorly selected teammates around him. But that's a longer dive that I'm not going to get into on DTF right now. As we're seeing drastically new picks coming out of this team. They're going to try to shake things up, and as they should. There is a lot of season left. They are still very in this race. I mean, they're only tied for 5th. There has not been a team eliminated yet. They can definitely make their way towards playoffs if they can find something that gives them some momentum. As Oriana and Hecarim going to round things out. Pretty traditional picks for both of these players, with the double Blab bans coming out in the second rounds. This is kind of... You could have guessed these were the 2 picks coming.
Yeah, Blab has been doing very well on that Ziggs. So it's a good pick to take away from him, as well as, you know, his perennial Vel'Koz that he loves to play in the mid lane. So seeing him on the Oriana will be a change of pace for Blab, and I didn't see that last pick.
It was a Lux.
Okay.
Which maybe mid lane, maybe in... No, definitely mid lane, because they have a
definitely
Dragon.
mid lane.
So, we're going to skip the
I'm excited to see... I'm excited to see East Coast Carry try to pop off for once. You know, he was hyped up a lot before the season started and hasn't really shown up yet.
Yeah, that has been a big part of this team's struggles, is we expected... Okay, what fucking moron clicked start when there weren't 5 people on the team? Who the fuck did that? Master Splinter, I see you. You got that icon next to your name. Master Splinter, you know better. This is your 11th season of the goddamn Swain Baddy League. You've been playing competitive League of Legends for like 22 years, you motherfucker. Don't start the game when people aren't in there. Dumbass.
Just a little too excited.
Don't listen to his lies in Twitch chat. They were not ready. By the way, shoutouts to these guys with the Season 3 TSM icon I've been seeing all over the place today. Boostgraph in the last game, now I see Ryzak and Kaiser with it this game.
You dirty
Fantastic,
TSM fan.
fantastic stuff, because TSM, that's vintage, old school.
So how do you feel about Greg as your jungler right now, Swift?
Much better than I feel about Mike Young.
Well, that's a fair assessment.
I see a TSM team that is tied for first place in the LCS and gonna keep going, but that's a long rant for another time.
I mean, we got a little while here. You know, we got some time. We know the pick's coming out. No, I want to hear more about your TSM passion for this season.
I want to... Well, no, I'll wait till games matter, and since they're not going to be playing in the upcoming games that matter, I have to give props to Riot for introducing another international tournament and then failing to give the teams any reason to take it seriously. It is unreal how often Riot will just go, yeah, the teams will take it seriously because it's one of their only international events. No, they won't. We see these teams going in, yeah, we're going to just try out a new roster for Rift Rivals. For fuck's sake, Riot, put a goddamn money prize on these events.
Yeah, well, did you see the most recent roster shakeup? Going to 100 Thieves, trading away Meteos?
I have no sympathy for these orgs that haven't realized that teams themselves are not marketable. It's the players that are, and then go ahead and trade away their biggest assets and wonder why there's a huge community backlash.
Well, according to sources, Meteos requested the trade as he was not working well with others on the team.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes there. It seems like it was handled very poorly for Meteos, first of all, from everything I've seen come out. I don't want to say this is entirely on the org, but to be a team that just went to the LCS finals is currently tied for first place in the league. 3 weeks in a summer split. Unfortunate that it played out this way. And also maybe a wake-up call for some of these players to start taking their contract negotiations a little more seriously. I know that's been a point of reference I've been seeing a lot with people I follow on Twitter, and it's time for these players to realize they have to start taking their profession a little more seriously too, because we are entering traditional sports territory where stuff like this happens if you don't have a no-trade clause in your contract.
Yeah, you know, if you look at Cloud9, because of attitude and performance, you know, 3 of the long-standing starters were put to the academy team for quite some time now.
Okay, let me go off on a rant there, since
Okay.
we've still got at least 4 minutes till we're into this game. If you have a player who has been on your team for 5 years, he has been a perennial all-pro level performer, there is nothing he can do in the scrims short of fucking the head coach and the owner's wives at the same time to get him benched from that team. It's absurd that Sneaky still isn't playing. I don't care how badly you think he's fitted to the current meta or whatever. Even half of NA is just playing 80 carries every game anyways. Cloud9 has thrown away the year of 2018 because of this decision.
I mean, they've gotten wins.
They've gotten 1 win. They have not gotten wins. That is a lie. They have gotten 1 win. They are currently 1-5. Sole possession of last place in the league. In what looks to be a very competitive summer split where only 6 teams will go to the playoffs. They have already dug themselves into such a gigantic hole that they probably won't be able to make it out of and make the playoffs. Which means they have no chance of going to Worlds for the first time in the York's history. Maybe they would have failed to go to Worlds with Sneaky playing. We'll never know. But they have thrown away the 2018 season because of Keith McFucking-Brief.
I mean, Keith, the man you bring in to motivate your teammates, McBrief?
I hope Cloud9 feels the repercussions of this decision, because they deserve to. There's a lot of people online that say shit like, oh, blah blah blah, team atmosphere. First of all, you can't tell me this was a team atmosphere thing for Cloud9. When you bench 3 of the 5 players on your team, that's not team atmosphere. They are the team's atmosphere.
That is very fair.
And it's baffling. It is absolutely baffling. It's embarrassing. I could see Sneaky not wanting to play for the org after the way this was handled.
Yeah, you know, there's always the hope that old Cloud9 gets together under some contract.
Well, let's not get our hopes up. I don't want to see that happen.
Oh, come on. Balls is hard stuck D2. We can do it. Still eligible to play in the LCS. Jumping back into the game that we are about to cast, we do see that Dario Chapman and Scotchanaut are going into the bottom lane again with that Graves, Zyra.
As expected from those picks. So this will be interesting to see if we get typical Scotch level 1 going up against a carry of Draven's caliber.
Yeah, it's really going to play into which team comp gets their desired win condition first. Does the Fight as 5 team comp get their tank strong in the top lane, and their other lanes, you know, keep it even or get ahead just so they can roll over in every single 5v5, or is the split push of Tryndamere and a fed Draven going to come into effect, where they just have Lux clearing waves and Draven just running, throwing axes and mowing down the plants?
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on East Coast Carry and Mr. Coffee in this composition, because they both have to be fairly smart players that know how to take their own plays for this comp to work, more so in Coffee's case than in East Coast's case, because he's going to have Leona with him, who's pretty simple to follow up on. But it's just, these players are going to have to be smart, because they're not going to be looking to 5v5 with this comp, and that's a really scary proposition going up against Master Splinter, who has been a little dialed down on the pressure this season, but with the Hecarim pick, I expect we're going to see some pretty heavy pressure coming out of Splinter early. They really can't afford to have bad games. Mr. Coffee, it's been a struggle when he has played this season. Fortunately, he's going up against Salvo this week, so that helps. Salvo going to be a little less pressure in the top lane than a Gwen.
Yeah, this is probably one of the best matchups for Mr. Coffee. entire season. So we'll have to see if he can pop off on his one trick of Tryndamere.
I'm hoping so. I'm always excited to see more Tryndamere in action.
I'm excited to see Coffee carry a game against Splinter again. Throwing it back a couple seasons. The famous Udyr play of Master Coffee.
Yeah, nothing too crazy here with summoner spells. There's a Pulsefire Shen now?
Yes, there is.
Oh my god.
They added Pulsefire Shen, Riven, and Twisted Fate recently. I actually want to give a shout out to Ryzak for performing a lot better than I expected him to. The recent weeks, there wasn't a lot going into the Ryzak pick. He was just looked at to be a support, to just kind of come into the league and go even. But he's been performing really well.
You and I have different interpretations of performing well.
Well, they're not getting W's, but I think.
I mean, if you look at the last few weeks, we've got a 1-4-2 Ornn, we've got a 3-8-11 Pike, a 2-9-13 Alistar. I mean, those are inting performances.
All in games where they were getting rolled over in other positions, You gotta look at that Alistar game. That was a tough game against EGD. The best team in the league.
30 seconds until minions
who has
spawn.
basically rolled over every team so far this season. So I think out of all the players, Ryzak and Evilite have been the two best performing on that team. But we can agree to disagree on that one, Swift.
Yeah, we will. As these teams not getting to anything at level 1. As expected. As is always saddening.
Yeah, there's not a lot going for either team in the level 1 antics. What is the matchup you are most excited to watch here, Swift?
Hard to say between that mid or that top lane. I think the mid lane should be pretty competitive, as I think which jungler is able to have more pressure will probably have a pretty huge impact on how that mid lane plays. And the top lane, I want to see what Coffee does in this lane that is so favorable for him and important for his team's odds here.
Yeah, it should be a pretty free farm lane for Coffee here at these early levels. Level 3 does get a little difficult with the taunt queue through and the dodge zone.
Yeah, that's what we need to watch for Coffee, is to make sure he doesn't give too much respect to what's going on the other side, because if he plays this game scared of Master Splinter potentially showing up, there's some picks you can't just play the whole game scared, and Tryndamere is one of them. So that's a big thing I'm going to be watching for, is does Coffee play too passive?
Yeah, I'd be excited to see Coffee, for once be aggressive against an enemy top laner. He has enough tools to escape a gank where he shouldn't be too worried about the Hecarim coming in early.
Yeah, it's not going slow in that top lane these early levels for Coffee. But on this bot lane, East Coast is taking a little bit of early damage here. But overall, slow level 1. Both top laners have ended up on the top side of the map. Sorry, both junglers top side of the map.
Yep, Splinter with a little bit of a there and clearing compared to Kaiser. Should be negligible for experience gain.
Yes, Coffee's going to take a big wave to his turrets, start mopping things up. Assuming he farms most of that wave, we'll have a slight CS advantage, as Dalvo is currently roaming down, and I don't know what for. Yeah, looking like he's just backing up in case they thought Kaiser was still there, which he was not.
Yeah, it's
And-
already looking rough for Mr. Coffee. He shouldn't be getting pushed into his turret this early on the Tryndamere.
No, and since direct camera, we won't have a chance because Master Splitter coming in this mid lane, they have chunked the hell out of Evelite. He's gonna get lit, but does not have to pop either of the summoners there.
A nice little pressure gank out of Splinter, just to get some damage down onto Evilite.
But yeah, with how much directed camera's been showing us this top lane, honestly, Mr. Coffee doesn't look like he knows what he's doing in this matchup. There's been a lot of really bad spins out of no pressure. He hasn't been healing aggressively. He's just now attempting to actually trade onto Salvo aggressively for the first time. But he's really big on blowing that spin cooldown all the time.
Yeah, especially with the Conqueror on Tryndamere, you know, you build up that Rage Bar and you just go in for a couple autos, then it's hard to trade back on you because you can just heal it all up.
Yeah, Tryndamere autos hard. But we'll see here. He does have the lane pushing at this time. He just... got it. It makes me angry watching these spins. What is he spinning away from?
You know, getting slapped by the Nerf bat once. Oh, it's a scary thought.
So he's going to take the first recall of the game, buy a few components of one of his first items, buy some boots.
Probably getting that Static Shiv nice and early. The Brawler's Glove will help him with more random crits. Across the board, we see pretty even CS out of all the lanes.
Yeah, nice and slow tempo early game. It's nice to see after how many games I've caught this season where teams are giving up, you know, level 1, level 2, level 3 kills.
Yeah, you really do love those level 2 to level 1 kills, don't
Oh,
you?
but here we go. Kaiser coming to the mid lane. Flash for flash. Forced out of Blab there.
I don't think the flash was necessary. I think just showing up there and applying the slow would have been enough to get the flash out of him. But not a bad trade jungler for mid lane flash. Especially when Evilite's your main carry right now. Giving him a slight advantage in that lane is not a bad plan.
Yeah, and that's a huge opportunity because now Blab playing no escape champ with no flash here. Sejuani gonna be hitting 6 before that flash comes back up. Gonna have the opportunity to make a repeat play to that mid lane that Blab won't have a lot of counterplay options for.
Thankfully for Blab, he does have the Shen to save him if things go too far south. That's hoping that Salvo knows how to press R in the heat of a moment.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. A lot of options here for where Kaiser can go. Obviously, the top lane, he wants to get snowballing. Mid lane with no flash available. And then the bot lane, we're getting to that point where Draven wants to get his first kill. This is kind of, when you're Draven, this is when the game starts getting a little antsy, because you're starting to get some stacks. You want to make sure you capitalize. And I wouldn't be surprised to see both junglers start prioritizing this bot lane soon, as they're hitting 6.
Yeah, we see both junglers on the bottom half right now, picking up the second rotation of their buffs. And hopefully we will see the Kaiser come down bot lane with that ulti and get that Draven that first early kill.
Yeah, and Evelite nearly got a solo kill in the mid lane. He just whipped the laser, unfortunately for him. But he did force a recall out of Blab there. He's gonna shove this in the lane and probably go for his first back.
Yep, we will see Evelite go back with a small advantage over Blab, so he'll be happy about that. Kaiser kind of hovering around this bottom lane. Not quite 6 yet, but they did spot him out on the ward.
Back to this top lane, we've got Salvo starting to get a pretty sizable lead here as he is up a lot of CS with a huge wave coming into his tower. Salvo gonna probably be up 10-12 CS here at the 8.5 minute mark. Not what you want to see out of that matchup. Just the Tryndamere.
You do not want to be behind on the Tryndamere.
Oh, but here we go. Big Zyra coming out. Sejuani coming around. This is a 3 vs 2. He's still scary. Find the damage. It was very awkwardly played. Salvo shows up to save. Dario Chapman, but now Evelite roaming down to secure his team's exit as they're looking for the snare onto Salvo. They find it. The kill comes through. First blood does not go over to the Draven, but this fight is not over. They're chasing onto the Chapman. He pops a heal, he pops a dash. He gets out. And an awkward fight, but it's a 1-for-0 in favor of DTF, but not passed over to the Draven.
Really odd to see Mad Cow go in there right at the end. Had no backup and was running into at least 2 people. That was a little bit of a misplay out of him.
Yeah,
and,
it looks like he just kind of lost track of what was going on in that fight. And it cost him, fortunately, the heal, not the flash, but...
Well, this game is definitely playing out a lot differently than last week's game.
Oh, there we go.
DTF is finally, taking the game a little bit slower and not giving away early advantages in any of their lanes.
Yeah, that being said, I think this pace is still good for back in our day overall. They do probably feel more confident letting this game play at a slower pace, especially with the Tryndamere losing in the top lane. That's the big one. As long as they're playing this game slow, they probably feel confidence that they could take the slate, so this could be an intentional choice out of them. It really comes down to who dies first in that bot lane, to me. Does Draven get the kill or does he die first?
Yeah, because the later it gets, DTF has much better split pushers, and Draven will outscale that Graves by quite a bit. But also, back in our day, we'll have that big team fight that they're looking for.
But now Salvo, going for the jukes. I think he might here at the end. Salvo's still going to pop a flash. That was a very, very bad flash. And it turns into a kill for Mr. Coffee.
And now we see Coffee taking a lead in that lane, thanks to Kaiser. That's a good gank out of him to get that split push threat going. It's going to play in very good towards their late game.
Yeah, Master Splinter making the intelligent call, bringing his team over to the Dragon. This should be uncontested. Evelite lining up. They want to pop the long range ult. The Draven ult did go through the Dragon pit, but Master Splinter will secure. That's an Earth Drake going over to his team. Now Salvo going to try to teleport to this top lane turret. They're going to try to finish this off, but Salvo with a nice taunt going to force Mr. Coffee to take some damage. He has the ult available as he is popping the ult. They're now chasing onto Salvo. They get the slow blab on a long roam up, but Mr. Coffee flashes out late here. Kaiser does not find the kill, but they get the turret, they get the summoners, but now here comes that Splinter in this top lane. They've gotten the fear, and there we go. Half the stacks taken off the East Coast carry, and an easy double kill for back in our day.
Excellent gank out of Splinter there. Targeting out that Draven who really wants to get that early advantage.
Oh no. Maybe there's something that's changed about League of Legends that I don't know about, but I see a Phantom Dancer coming out first for Mr. Coffee, and I'm pretty sure that's really wrong.
Phantom Dancer isn't a horrible pick because it does reduce damage. So it's Coffee looking at himself going, I'm going to take a lot of unnecessary damage. This should help me out just a little bit.
Where is he taking unnecessary damage from? He's fighting a Shen.
Yeah, Coffee loses out on trades just because he lets the other guy auto him too much. Doesn't auto back.
If your strategy to deal with that situation is to build a Phantom Dancer first on a split pusher. Oh. I don't like this turn.
Static Shift would have been a much better pick, but, Phantom Dancer will have to do for now for Mr. Coffee.
Alright, so gold's still fairly even. Towers have been traded, kills are even. It's just the one Drake advantage, but none of the gold in super scary places for either of these teams right now either.
Kidding me? Gold in Hecarim's pocket? That's
it's only one kill though.
That one kill leads into a lot more, knowing Splinter. This is his champion.
It hasn't yet, which is what matters for this game.
That is.
So we'll see where things break out here as teams just kind of roaming around the map, maybe trying to set up some vision here. Back in our day, it does have some nice warding down on this top side. Tide of the Fountain doesn't have much vision at all here.
Yeah, back in our day has been doing a much better job with the vision score across the board. They are trying to abuse that.
Yeah, now in this mid lane though, they get the gang on the Renai, turns into a fast kill. Splinter coming in, but a teleport coming out of Mr. Coffee. Splinter is in a 1 versus 3 right now, being CC locked down, looking for the escape, does not find it. Salvo was not able to save him with the Grandstand United there, and now they are stunning him under turret. They find that kill as well. 2 kills over to Evelites.
Really good job out of Evelite to kind of bait that in there by sticking around and throwing a couple missed skill shots to really make Blab feel like he was going to win that. And then Kaiser just coming in with the ulti.
Yeah, and now Salvo down to 0-3-0 as well. This is very, very much not a lead from the last week's game. As it's looking like Kaiser wants to play this one forward, but they are just diving into this Dario. Dario trying to get the chance to get the damage on. Finds the Sejuani kill. Now Ignite is down on Trinity, but it was a little premature. You don't want to nut that early against the man with the Undying Rage. It's a 1-for-1 here. Coffee has picked up his 3rd kill of the game. Splinter is aggressively flanking, but I don't think he's going to take this, but no! They get the damage onto Evelite. Splinter is now looking to get out of this back line, but he's going to play safe, just push this creeps in the mid lane.
Yeah, there definitely was a little bit of miscommunication there as the Lux backed off as Kaiser was going in on Sejuani. But overall, it's still a 1-for-1. That I think DTF is finally glad to see.
Yeah, now some gold going into good places for DTF.
Yeah, that Lux is starting to get pretty scary. She can clear out waves very fast and can blow up most of the squishies on back in our day.
And oh, Jesus! Is he playing well, Thor?
Okay, that was bad. Alright, Zach, what are you doing?
Oh, man. Those are the kind of plays that will take DTF out of this game when they are playing well. I mean, this is one of the first times all season when we see Evelite start getting some kills before his team has already lost the game. We see Coffee is not building how I'd like to see, but he is up in this one-on-one matchup. Has the chance to turn into the Barbarian King.
Yeah, but DTF is still failing at getting these neutral objective controls with their wins. That's now a Dragon and a Rift Herald over to back in our day that were both uncontested.
Yeah, but the tower dive being attempted here. Salvo gets a nice double taunt, not taking any damage. Coffee gonna have to pop the Undying Rage, and there's still a lot of Salvo to chunk through. Popping the shield, Coffee flashes out, and Salvo just barely gets finished off by the Sejuani. Now Coffee and Ryzek can finish this turret, but on the far side of the map, we see a top lane turret was taken away back in our day. They're pressing towards the second. It's a Renai flashes forward, gets Coffee without ulti. Now here comes the tower dive in the top lane. They have forced this team so far back as they're going to try to finish off this turret.
A lot of missed skill shots.
Yeah, and a great push from Shelly coming through here out of back in our day. This should secure a top lane tier 2. Shelly is gonna do it.
That was a very good use of that Rift Herald, taking 2 turrets there real quick. And Blab as well, picking up another solo kill on the bot lane.
Yeah, Salvo, I don't want to say outplayed, but he played well in that 1v2 situation, forced a lot to be popped from Coffee and Kaiser, and that resulted in Blab being able to get those kills when he showed up. A smart rotation on spawn out of Blab. Or maybe not on spawn, out of recall. I don't think he died beforehand, but and now a situation where we thought towers were going to be traded ends up being, back in our day, take 2 towers and only give up a kill on the map-wide picture.
Yeah, it's been good rotations out of back in our day. DTF is still playing a little bit of catch-up, even though they had the early lead. We're still not seeing Ghost carry pop off in these fights, or Coffee applying enough pressure to where the Tryndamere pick is warranted. Yeah, so Coffee is solo and unopposed in this bot lane. There's no teleport to match as Smash is just now coming down the river, but I mean, I want to think, oh, but it could be a fight before Ryzak. What are you doing? Your team was not ready for that. He
he gets a big ult, but he just has the flash out now. Match Splinter is turned around, returns to this fight, but he's maybe a little sticky. He has a lot of shielding. And we see an awkward disengage picked, but Coffee is able to secure bot lane turret in the meantime.
You know, that's a small win for DTF. They got the turret.
Yeah, they got what counted. They've, got some damage that's stuck onto back in our day, forcing some recalls here. As they go for an interrupt on the Shem, but they did not get it. Although he has no way of teleporting in this fight. And now we see Tryndamere has pressured into this bot lane.
Xmithiol.
Xmithiol, yeah, jeez. When I think of bad CLG players, my mind just goes blank with too many of them.
Listen here.
But
we're good now. Don't talk bad about us.
We see Coffee now disengaging this bot lane. And DTF, they need to keep this pressure in the mid lane. They need to keep Coffee in this advantageous one-on-one bot lane.
Especially while the Shen ultimate is down. This is the time to be pressuring his 4. You know, you have a big tank in Kaiser to stand in front of you. As we see that Splinter's not very tanky quite yet. He did build that first item Triforce. So, right now DTF has a much better front line to go into these fights when Shen's not around.
Yeah, but DTF gonna take their foot off the gas here, so back in our day gets a chance to reestablish things. It's hard to say how I feel about who is in control of this game. It's just DTF. It looks like they don't quite know what to do.
Yeah, they're not forcing their advantage that they have. You know, right now Mr. Coffee is way ahead of Salvo, so he needs to be applying pressure, and the other 4 just need to be, you know, mimicking that pressure in the mid lane, so that Coffee can just keep taking these free turrets on the side.
Oh, but here comes the engage. They get the pop onto Scotchonaut down first for the 100th time this season. They're now pushing through the Orianna AoE. I don't think they'll be able to continue this push.
That was way too many ults for that free kill.
Yeah, that is 4 ults pop from Dive-Bomb. That wasn't worth.
No. Like, after the first CC hit, Scotch was already dead. They didn't need to blow everything on him. But everybody wanted the kill, you know.
And that's a sign of a team with no cohesion. They're so used to being behind that when they see kills, they feel like they have to go all in to take them. And they don't even establish map pressure in this 5 versus 4 situation. They did not push a single lane, and now they are recalling.
Yeah, you know, that comes from a team that's starving for a win. You know, DTF has not won since week 2, and they are really just looking to get back on the right track and into the running for the playoffs.
Yeah, but they're gonna do it again. Gotch!
That should have went over to East Coast Carry. He's got all those stacks. That would have been huge.
Yeah, and that was free. Well, I guess they knew he had a flash there because he's died twice in a row too fast. 2 flash. But they're going to try to turn it into a Baron here. They see Mash the Splinter on the map is the big thing. He is forced into that top lane. I don't think they have any clue this is going on. They may lose a mid lane turret, but it shouldn't matter. As long as that smite is pinned to a turret, Blab is just now maybe roaming in this direction. And yeah, Blab and Splinter are coming through, but Coffee is trying to stop him. He is dragging this pressure onto him, but
he's doing a good job of it.
But he is doing what he needs to do, but it's still a little too slow. This Baron was a little too early, a little too aggressive, and oh no, dive the fountain. This ends up being a disaster. Ryzak going down. Evelite gets a decent laser off, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They're on the East Coast carry. Was looking to cash in some stacks here, but he has to run for his life. Coffee has popped the Undying Rage on the other side of this fight. He gets sniped by the long range Graves ult. And it was so close to a great Baron play, but instead, it's 3 kills going over to back in our day.
That was so horribly played by DTF. Oh, they all started to just give up the pressure once the vision went down. Nobody was attacking the Baron as much anymore. You know, they tried to turn and fight when they should have just focused the Baron right away.
Now Scotch going for the flash forward, gets the CC on. Maybe going to die! The stacks have been cashed!
That's a lot of money into Draven. Now it's to see what he's going to do with it.
Yeah, it's something. Draven, I'm not sure exactly how much he cashed there. But it was,
574 is what I saw, plus the 450 onto the
basically
Zyra.
all of the gold that was in his inventory is what he just got from that kill. As he's also mopping up a fat stack of creeps in the bot lane, and his team's setting up for this Infernal Dragon.
Yeah, but he's still down 600 gold compared to Mad Cow right now. That is a pretty big deficit.
Yeah, now back in our day, pinging Mr. Coffee in the top lane. They know they want to take this fight. Their team has the advantage in a 5 vs 4, even in a 5 vs 5, so they should play this one aggressively. But we do see DTF is setting up like they want to fight. It is probably too late to contest this dragon, but they are still toying around. They go for the steal, they do not find it. And now, back in our day, going forward, there is some AoE damage coming out though. What they do is we kill with a nice shot away from the IMS. Goes over the wall. Does not need the help because it gets the kill. That's 2 for back in our day. Before the Tryndamere was ever able to show up, he's now trying to mop something. He wants to take out Salvo. He's gonna get him, but he's gonna lose his life for it. Kaiser now caught between 2 flanks. He does not want to be between. Matchwinner comes forward, gets the kill. That is a 1 for 4 and a dragon for back in our day. And that was just a completely moronic team fight.
Yeah, DTF doesn't know what to do in this game right now. They are not committing to the split push with the Tryndamere or to the 5v5. They are throwing this game wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. They just have zero clue what to do with any of these picks they have on the map. They have zero clue what to do with these game situations. And it's hard for me to imagine Master Splinter not just shot calling his way to a back in our day win with the way this game's been played.
Yeah, it's looking pretty grim right now for DTF to come back into this one. Only down 2 turrets, but it feels like so much more. There feels like there's no pressure coming out of DTF, and they're just trying to react to whatever back in our day is trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a good way of putting it. And this is a comp that is all about creating pressure.
And back in our day is looking to just 5v5 every time. You know, they'd love to fight you 5 to 5. They have a better team count for it.
Yeah, and Die the Fountain keeps giving them that situation. So we'll see here. We're now 26 minutes in. Starting to approach the real Baron time.
I mean, 20 minutes in is the real Baron time if you're EGD, but not if you're DTF.
Yeah, not in a dead even game. As Ryzak looking like he's going to get caught out here. Playing aggressively, has to flash over the red wall. Master Splinter, that's not enough to stop him. Splinter and Salvo going deep here. Actually, Splinter getting chunked out. Splinter shut down by Evelite. Now maybe DTF has a chance here in this fight. Evelite was on pretty far this one, but now Coffee is joined on the flank as this fight being chased forward. Lab looking for a big ball as Tryndamere has had to go pretty far forward here, but he is going to go down. Scotch gets the killing blow. It's a 1 for 1, and I think that back in our day is going to just pressure up the mid lane here. They still have just the Graves ult available.
So do you think DTF talks at all in these fights? Or do they all just kind of go quiet and no one says anything?
I would be surprised to find out that there's much going on comps in these fights.
Because it feels like everybody's doing something different when these fights take off. You know, they start the fight with a plan, and then that plan just goes to shit and everybody just does whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, and once again we see DTF. When's the last time we saw anybody from DTF move past the river?
Probably 3 or 4 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's real bad.
Especially with this composition. Like this Tryndamere pick is doing nothing. When they're in even situations, they still refuse to do anything to create an advantage on the map.
If I may correct you, this Tryndamere pick that got super far ahead early is doing nothing. That's pretty bad. No, he was given a 3-0 lead and has done nothing with it besides take 1 turret in the bot lane.
Yeah, and as poorly as Salvo is playing, he at least shows up on team fights and is there so that his teammate can take these easy teamfight wins.
No, a Shenel is more useful than a Tryndamere who
Yeah,
just gets
and now
rooted kill.
Ryzak is the closest to the enemy lines, and that is his fatal mistake. Master Splinter secures an easy kill there for Dario Chopman.
Yep, a perfect Splinter call. I see someone. Let's kill him real quick.
Yeah, and they know they have Coffee split very far from his team. I think that back in our day, they're going to just try to force Coffee to recall here. His teleport's not currently available, so if they want to go for a siege in this mid lane, but no, they're going to... Salvo's going to teleport to match. They have Stand United available here if they want to play that way. But it looks like back in our day is going to just split up against him. A few over to go try and execute Coffee for his crimes against League of Legends. Two down to push bot lane.
Yeah, I like the call out of back in our day. You know, Lux still has a lot of wave clear, so it's really hard to push into her, even as 5. You know, she can clear the wave, the first 3 or 4 waves without a problem.
Yeah, now Scotch playing that pretty aggressively. Gonna be easy pickings for Mr. Coffee there.
Coffee always makes me worry, because he never uses his heal right as Undying Rage is ending. So I always feel like he's about to die anyway when he pops it, because he was 1 tick away from that Ignite killing him.
Hey man, for all of Coffee's flaws, that man is a teacher. You think he doesn't know the basic math, like how to keep his health above 0?
No, as long as your health's above 0, you
That
can win
looked
the game.
cool and calculated out of Mr. Coffee to hold this cube to the last possible moments. As this awkward game of League of Legends continues. But we got Earth Dragon spawning, and DTF is in the area. Salvo with neither of his teleports available for this one, so this probably a free dragon for DTF. As I can't imagine that back in our days we're going to seriously try to contest this. That's actually, it's like Kaiser is really far away. Master Splinter's going to just walk up and snipe this.
Yep.
Oh, what the fuck, DTF? What the fuck were you doing there?
This is Clown Fiesta
Now
that
they
you were
lost
looking
Ryzak. They're picking out Kaiser in the jungle. Oh.
Every time you think they're doing something good, they manage to fuck it up somehow.
You can't do the objective without your smite. And that just shows this team, they did not plan to do that dragon. Suddenly they just looked at the map and were like, hey, Salvo's top, Dragon's about to spawn, do you guys want to do it? And because they didn't plan anything in advance, Kaiser wasn't there to smite it. It is a walk-in steal from Master Splinter that would have just been a 50-50 otherwise. And now they're going to try to secure Baron. Guess what? Master Splinter's there, he gets the smites. Now we're a 6,000 gold lead and an easy Baron push coming out of back in our day.
You were definitely thinking that DTF thinks these things through even more than that, you know. I doubt they even knew where Salvo was. They were just like, oh shit, a dragon's here. Oh, I should try to take that real quick. And it just went horribly, horribly south yet again.
Yeah, now back in our day, keeping their streak of securing every neutral objective alive. They've got all 4 dragons, they've got the first Baron of the game.
Yeah, and with as much gold as you have there, East Coast Carry, what are you doing with it on the Draven? I have not seen anything to warrant a Draven pick so far. No, because when you think of Draven, you're thinking of that early level 2 advantage in lane, especially with a Leona, and they just got nothing with it.
Yeah, now maybe a pick here. Yet they find Scotch yet again. Don't let this 6-5-7 scoreline fool you. Scotch not having a great game right now.
No, he is not. He is keeping DTF in this game right now.
Yeah, he absolutely is. As they have Baron, they want to pressure here. A death is very costly in this situation. Back in our day, though, maybe not being forced to respect the enemy team here, as they get a nice chunk onto Ryzak. Is Salvo and Coffee gonna fight? Salvo's gonna force the ult out of Mr. Coffee here, and now Salvo's gonna just keep his Baron push alive without an ult available. I don't know what Coffee's gonna do to hold this turret.
Yeah, that was really good
Getting
job out of
dove, and there's the splitter. Easy dive, and this was a 4v5. This was all in a 4 versus 5 situation. Scotch is still only halfway back to group with this team.
Yep, and here we see, back in our day, doing a great job at doing the split push across the map.
Yeah, maybe a little aggressive push there. They're gonna lose Salvo, but they got an inhibitor turret in the process. But this was a poorly utilized Baron, but they still got advantages with it.
Yeah, they took 3 turrets.
Here's another pick on a Scotch. Why not? Oh, maybe not. Draven, why wasn't Draven following? I guess he had to go to top, or he's probably... I don't know. I'd have to rewatch this. I missed something here. But Ryzak goes in for the kill and gets forced out of a situation where I thought they'd secured a kill on Scotch.
Yeah, Kaiser nearly goes down there. Ryzak nearly went down in the top lane. And now this Baron push is getting even better.
Yeah, we now have all 3 inhibitors exposed. More exposed than an NSFW subreddit right now, is back in our day gonna try to push wherever they want. And it's nearly taken this inhibitor in the mid lane. Mr. Coffee coming on the flank. This is the desperation fight. As the Undying Rage comes through, they kill Scotch first. He did not have an ult during that fight. They're pressing forward. Leona ult creating some disruption, but the damage just doesn't quite seem to be there for DTF. Is the push going to continue? Lux looking for the long range kill, does not find it. That's the laser down, and the Orianna Shockwave going to miss as well, though, as this is a pretty awkward team fight. Salvo forcing East Coast carry back, but inhibitors are being taken. Splitter nearly secured the one in the top lane. The mid lane has fallen, and now the kill is coming forward. Dire Chapman secures for Leona. This is an awkward team fight, but it is going back in Aldea's way. Coffee trying to find something here, does not get it. It's a double over to the Graves. 2 inhibitors down as well, and I think this game is about to be closed out.
Yeah, it appears that DTF wasn't down to fuck, they were down to get fucked this game.
Yeah, as they don't have a lot of creeps here, but doesn't matter. As long as there's no backdoor bonus, which there will not be. Avalites needs, I guess if he finds a pick on Dire Chopman, but he doesn't. He whips that laser, and that is it. Game over. Back in our day. Maybe not how they wanted to do it, but they march up to 4-2.
Yeah, you know, and another Evilite versus his team game out of DTF.
Yeah, so let's see. I'm gonna see if we can pull Master Splinter in here for an interview real fast.
That was the person I would like to speak to as well.
Because to me, that game was entirely about shot calling. That wasn't about any individual
joined your
performance.
channel.
And
Yep.
there he is, Master Splinter, my MVP for that game. Because
Really?
that game, there was no individual performance that won that game for you.
No,
I know
I didn't think
Chopman
we played that well.
Chopman, no, you guys played badly.
Yeah.
But you showed that League of Legends is not a 5 versus 5 game sometimes. It's a 1 versus 0 game where one team has a shot caller and one does not. Is that how it felt inside the game to you guys as well?
We won because of better macro, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't
But,
just
I
say
mean-
better macro. I would say existent macro versus no macro.
But I mean, I don't know. Everyone talks and puts out ideas, so I can't take all the credit.
Yeah, we definitely saw some old Splinter there just pulling the trigger whenever you saw a champion. How do those shot calls usually go for you? Do you just see someone and you're like, alright, let's kill him real quick? Or is there more planning in that?
Well, we had the wards, and then we called out, was it Ryzak who was Leona?
Correct.
Yeah, so we caught him out twice. One of them, I was too greedy and went over the red pit. I didn't know that the other 2 members were there, so that was my fault. But the other one was good, and we were able to get some things from that, so... Yeah, just proper warding, which we need to also work on.
So now going into the second half of this season, what do you guys think your record will be at the end?
Well, I don't know what the record will be, but I think we're going to take second.
Bold words. Look forward to it.
So that means we're going to beat your team, Thor.
Those are some even bolder words, Winner.
Gotta throw a little trash talk in there.
Hey, you guys. Cute trash talk from the two teams that will both have the chance to get dishonored by EGD in the finals. So that'll do it for the interview, guys. We'll be back in just a moment. We've got Ornhub versus Table for Four coming up as Ornhub tries to run back after their embarrassing loss from last week. So stay tuned.